Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Co.Lab Sound. We have a very special performance tonight, kind of getting into the next few days of festival. This evening, we have Laura Netz, who is a collaborator in our Co.Lab artist team. She's going to be doing a kind of live experimental electromagnetic power noise performance with some DIY circuitry and some handmade synths. We're going to be having a new drum machine in the works as well. So we're having a bit of a play this evening. There will be some strobe lights as a part of this performance. So if you do need to watch out for any kind of strobe effects, might be best to listen rather than kind of watch the performance. I figured I'd let you know that out front. A little bit about Laura. The kind of sound in her performance kind of relates to psychic noise with music relating to post-materialist perspectives on technology, kind of going into James Birdle's New Dark Ages and experiments with electronic synthesis. So I won't go in too much because we're going to do another Q&A after the performance this evening, or if you have any questions, you can ask away and we'll have a little bit of an informal chat about her practice as well. So without any further ado, I will hand over to Laura, and I'm very much looking forward to this.
Well, hello everybody. Thanks very much for watching. I just need to swap my microphone and then everything is gonna be fine. So changing mic and enjoy the techno.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Laura. That was fantastic. We'll give you a moment to get back on your mic and for us to get in a little of a Q&A mode as well. If anybody has any questions or any comments they'd like to pass along to Laura, I'll be watching the Facebook Live comments. So if you have any questions about her practice, I can pass them along. That was great. I guess I've been starting off these little Q&As with a very casual, how do you feel like that went for an online performance?
Well, I mean, it's been nice. I've been playing very short with this new set because I have this new Pure Data Patch drum machine that Claude Aylan Allen created for me, and is a really interesting machine. And well, it's been quite fun. It's very nice, very interesting. I think well, with the audiences you always have this communication with audiences. You always look at you stare at his eyes and you can see how they feel. So I would like to receive feedback from people on the other side, because from home is a bit isolated and I cannot know how, if they are dancing or if it's too noisy for them or maybe it's too high pitch. I don't know. I would like to hear from them.
I mean, well, my video and sound was off. I was definitely dancing, so it was an A+ for me. I think that's a really interesting point as well, because it's online. You know, you don't have that kind of face-to-face interaction that you would normally with a performance. But the one thing I've really been enjoying, kind of watching the kind of comments and people joining, and is the emojis, and I kind of feel like that's our online reaction to a lot of this as well.
Nice.
Could be a fun experiment for the open studio a little later next week.
Sure.
I'm gonna keep an eye in case we have any questions pop up. But the one thing I've been asking um, in these kind of Q&As is, did you want to give everybody watching a little, I guess, insight into your practice and how you got working with kind of experimental music and sound art?
Yeah, well, I must say that everything started, my background is in media art. I started being interested in art and technology at the, well, mainly because of my life, I'm fan of electronics, and then I met with some people that they were interested in playing music, live music at raves, and I started joining the scene, techno scene, but I was studying as well. I was studying media arts, and I became fascinated by this idea of Namjoon Paik and John Cage creating performance events with these sort of new electronic devices. And then from there I move on, and then I decide that, well, I want to explore what is technology and the means of evolution as well. How is that human is evolving, and how technology is being deterministic in or not in this evolution, and how humans behave with machines or not. And then I started exploring this art and technology scene through my practice, which is a curatorial practice, because my studies are in curating. So, and that's my hobby, playing music, because seeing that the practice of the curator is maybe an assemblage of others' work. What you do is you just play with others' work to create a big artwork that is the exhibition. But in that dimension, in that scale, that is the spatial scale of the exhibition, I found that I need to tinker with technology. I need to approach the machine in a more material way. I need to learn electronics. I need to understand what's the behaving of inside these black boxes that the techno-scientific paradigm has created to us, and how we can respond to technology, and how we can um, develop non-hegemonic practices, and how we can contribute to this idea of a materialistic technology, that behind our screens and behind our digital world there is a there is production, there is manufacture, there is ideologies, there is patterns of behaving, and there are lots of things that are hidden in these black boxes that through DIY and open source we can open and interrogate and start thinking how we're gonna contribute to this world in a better way. So that's my perspective. Yeah.
I think, oh, there's so much there that I find so interesting, especially, I guess, it came up again with Ken last night from his performance as well, of kind of um, needing to learn more about the technology that you use, and kind of how your interest in kind of sound really led you into the kind of technical aspects of how the machines that we use to make them really work, and how we can alter them or play with them in ways that is kind of unexpected. Do you tend to find you end up using a lot of improvising in your kind of performances, or is it something that you tend to kind of rehearse and kind of build up from?
No, it's always improvisation. I have four tools. I have one oscillator, I have one synthesizer that is based in three oscillators, and I have a drum machine. But I never rehearse, I'll never pre-record. I always leave the permutations and different combinations of sound to just be live, and just see what happens, explore, find new sounds, you know, experiment, question the machine, put it to the limits, keep it at the low level, just, yeah, I'm interested in this. How many different possibilities of sound can a machine create in a understanding these synthesizers as a mathematical machines that, you know, calculations are behind and calculations can be in front, and how many different possibilities of sound can I achieve with this playing and improvising. And that's why I'm always trying all sorts of possibilities all the time.
I think what you said a little bit earlier about you kind of see your practice as a curator as well, of kind of using the artists you work with as kind of creating a grander work that all kind of interlinks. And when I know kind of as we've spoken a little bit throughout the festival, I really appreciate that sentiment, because the whole point of kind of Co.Lab Sound was getting people together and kind of making something new and grander together. And while I'm the curator of the project, really I'm here to collaborate, and I'm here to kind of help support the building of new ideas and kind of connecting new people together as well. And so it's interesting kind of having both of us come from that background as well. Do you find that you tend to do your performances as a part of your curating, or is it something that you see as quite separate?
Well, it's something very malleable. It depends on how serious are the host. For example, in my last experience, I've been a curator for a project that I call Sounding DIY. And Sounding DIY is about sound art in a gallery space, but a sort of sound art which is handmade and open source and DIY. So I'm always in this ideological and political behaving of the technology. And for example, in the last show, I had some prototypes because I was connecting sound art with the possibilities of mining, how electronics, how digital, and how chemical machines, like how our computers, how our videos, how our sound machines are connected to this idea of extraction and extractivism. And I display some sound devices that were very raw and very prototypes, that they were DIY and they were very basic, made by very raw with chips and components like you know con- it doesn't came to my mind, sorry. Capacitors and resistors, and they were very raw pieces. And then the curators of the place, it was a residential, curatorial residential, they asked me if I can please perform with these pieces. And because it was a show that it was quite of interesting, and we need to engage more people, because the scene, this was happening in Folkestone. The scene in Folkestone is quite complicated because there are lots of contemporary art, but the thing that we were doing was more electronic art, media art is still a bit separated from the contemporary art scene. And then we decided, oh, let's do a practice live concert, and let's show that these machines are alive and they can do things. A part of the component, of the critical component, the critical idea behind the artwork. And it was very successful. I was playing there in the exhibition that I curated, and it was very pleasant. People doesn't understand anything. What the hell is this curator playing this horrible noise music? But we created an ambience, and we created a lot of questions, and I think that's the important thing. Shock the audiences and make them think about what is behind these technologies that these big corporations are giving us.
That's great. I think the shock the audience and make them think is such a great takeaway from that. In a few of the kind of conversations I've been having around this festival, the kind of whole umbrella of noise art has come up quite a few times. And I feel like that kind of fits the bill quite well, of for while kind of sound art has been going really strongly kind of from the 60s up until today, it's still avant-garde compared to a lot of other maybe more recognized contemporary practices. But there's such a strong scene and such a strong following for kind of sound artists as well. It's a really exciting field to be working in. I think we are just about at our wrap up for this evening. So I want to say a big congratulations again. That was absolutely fantastic. And we will see you again a little bit later in the week at our open studio and for more exquisite corpses as well. It was lovely to see you this evening, and thank you everybody who tuned in. We'll be back tomorrow with an exquisite corpse at 11 o'clock and more performances following in the week. Thank you everybody for tuning in, and we'll see you next time. Thank you again, Laura.